I just love going downtown, seeing that. I love what they've done to kind of restore the natural side of downtown
For
Guelph
sure.
and preserve that.
Yeah, I mean, I love all the small businesses, everything from, Aqua, Bon Gusto, all those great restaurants. I love that they are local businesses. I love the community that they built down there. So for us and our family, it's so nice to go down there and support it and take our kids down there to kind of see the downtown vibe, because that's definitely one of the things I think is most unique about Guelph.
I think they've also done a really good job with the Market Square down there and creating an atmosphere for anyone to bring their families down or just go check it out.
Yeah.
They've done a really nice job down there. So.
Yeah, what I think one of the great things about Guelph is all the different communities do have different communities. If you think about the South End and Westminster Woods with the trails and the fireworks that they do, and then downtown Guelph, we just had the Santa Claus Parade, which was great. I know the West End has got their own communities, and so Guelph's a big enough city where you do have these smaller neighborhoods that do have their own kind of identities. But at the same time, as a whole, everyone does come together for certain things like Griffin football games, Guelph Storm games, stuff like that. So it's a big city that kind of has everything to offer with a small feel within your own community.
I also think they've done a great job with just the diversification, the multicultural festival downtown, Rib Fest. They do a lot of events and maybe you don't know about, but there's always something going on pretty much every weekend. There's something for everybody, which is nice. So.
My grandparents were osteopaths, and their office was above Frankenstein's.
Gotcha.
So when I went to the University of Guelph, and I remember going to Frank's after football games and being down there and just having that connection with my family. They lived on Cambridge Street downtown, so it was just really cool for me to kind of have that feel down there.
Having City Hall downtown, my grandfather spent a lot of time downtown. I think he got kicked out most of the time, but I don't have any business connections to downtown, but obviously it's a great spot. I mean, I love going down there. Probably one of my favorite spots to go down and check out, which is kind of an unsung hero place, is Piatto. Just grab pizza, and then also I really love going to Spring Mill. It's kind of just a little bit out of downtown, but it's a great spot to grab a drink. They have a great atmosphere there, and I love that spot. So. Ooh, Nick's house. It's cool.
I'm at the patio at Cutton Fields. I think it's the nicest patio in the city, watching the sunset over the skyline, seeing the Church of Our Lady. I think that's, in the summer, that's what I think about for my favorite spot.
For me, probably somewhere in the South End. I do like a lot of the South, like the really South End. They have a really good walkability score. My brother's in there. Just tons of different, like you said, different patios, bars, restaurants. It's a great atmosphere. You can really get anything within a walking distance, so I like that area.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can speak to myself. I did that. I originally bought a new build back in 2012. And then we ended up moving up, found a great opportunity. There's a lot of those people who are downsizing. There's just a lot of market availability for those, and there's opportunities for you to kind of move up and get a house that's kind of more suited for your growing family. So I think as much as there's a lot of emphasis on the downsizers, I think we also have to look at those people who are looking to take the next step and move up and get maybe a little bit more land or a little bit bigger spot.
Yeah, and turn those homes into their family homes.
Absolutely.
These downsizers, like we see this all the time. They've been in this house for 30, 40 years. This has been their family home. They've filled it with memories. Now a new family's going to come in. And these homes are designed for that. Lots of bedrooms, big lot, mature streets, all that good stuff. And it's just, that turnover to where it goes from there. So we have the downsizers moving into something else, and that house then changing hands to another family. And the idea is, those families will be there for a long time. Downsizing is an emotional move. People have been in their house for so long. There really is no massive need to get out. But it's understanding that maybe it's too much house for them, too much yard for them, and it's a tough thing to kind of decide. Okay, I'm going to change, and I'm going to go for something else. So, when we work with people that are downsizing, taking the emotional side into it, understanding where they're going to go to, because they've lived in the same spot. So finding the right spot, I think, is very important, and finding a spot that they're excited to move into, because they are letting a piece of their life go with their old house, and they got to be excited for that. So whether it's a new community, whether it's the house or the condo or the townhouse that they're moving into, and that lifestyle is going to be appealing enough to kind of make it more palatable, there's a lot to kind of consider.
Sure, and I think the other thing you have to consider too, at least more recently, is that bit of a transition of people that are coming in who are looking to downsize, but they're ahead of the curve. They're wanting to get ahead of it. They know it's coming. It's probably in the next couple of years, but they don't want to be in a situation where they feel they have to downsize. They're looking to kind of get ahead of it and make that move when it's right for them, rather than a move that they have to do.
Yeah, and it does take the stress out of it. Sure. So if you get to a point in life where you are forced to move, or you can't maintain your property, or the house is too big to take care of, but it's too much work. You spend a few years trying to begrudgingly living in your house. Whereas if you get ahead of it and you understand downsizing is going to be right play in the next few years, maybe I should do it sooner rather than later. I can make this decision not under duress. I can make it comfortably and be excited to where I want to go. But again, it is the mentality, wrapping your head around the fact that, okay, I'm going to make this change in my life and I should do it sooner rather than later. So these government rebates for first-time home buyers buying new builds are absolute game changers in the market. It's going to affect the market in a lot of different ways, but it's one of these things that, going forward, every first-time home buyer should be addressing it, should be educated on it, because no matter what your budget or what you're looking for, you may be leaving money on the table by going with a resale with these rebates existing, and also your budget may be affected as to what you can afford for it.
Absolutely. I just think a lot of people that we're seeing is the first-time home buyers coming in, they don't know the whole, it's not fully done yet, and they don't know the information on it. They're just confused about it all. But you're right. There's for the average first-time home buyer, there's upwards of $50,000 you're leaving on the table if you're not buying a new build.
Well, and I think a strategy as well, like if you've got a healthy budget as a first-time home buyer, maybe looking at a townhouse or a bigger condo could be a great idea, great investment, and your first house that you buy should be the cornerstone for you building your wealth.
Sure.
So if you're looking at these resale markets and you're seeing a bigger discount going new build, well, you should see what everything is available, because an exit strategy, you get out of that in 2 or 3, 4 years, you could be realizing those rebates in your profits.
Absolutely. And I think, you and I both will agree that if these rebates were in place when we were buying our first home, we would have absolutely jumped on it.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of money there.
Oh yeah.
So it's a huge amount of equity you can just build almost instantly.
Yeah.
All of our expectations are going to be that a lot of people are delaying because they want to wait for that spring market, because we didn't have one last year. So if you can kind of get ahead of it and reach out to us, and we can get you prepared and ready to go so you can hit the spring running.
Yeah, and 2025 was such a strange market.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of exterior factors which really moved and kind of pushed the market the way that it did. So a lot of people end up sitting still, saying, okay, I gotta wait to see how things pan out. It's 2026 is when things pan out. You don't want to be chasing it, or you don't want to be, deciding quickly to make that decision. So even if you reach out to us and it's on the radar, they're saying, okay, I'm thinking about this next year. We're constantly monitoring the market, so we can provide you with updates of what's happening. What your house would be worth, how that's going to change as we go through the winter and spring market for 2026, and it's all information.
Absolutely.
2026 may not be the time for your move, or it may not work out, but ultimately being informed of watching to see what next year does is going to be the best thing you can do.
Can't agree more.